All right, we're recording whenever you're ready.
Whenever I'm ready. What about you?
You're the host. Come on, guy.
I'm a host. I don't remember. Does it come with a pay raise? We're the Like
No.
podcast.
You get a sandwich. You still get a sandwich.
Can I get a salmon-colored shirt like Jeremy?
This is red.
Not in that light, it's not. Anyways, we're the Leg Kick podcast, everybody. Coming off of what was a not necessarily action-packed, but interesting enough event. Did I err there, guys?
Nope.
All right. Anyways.
Right, even you said. I was too busy fixing the
We
level.
high energy today, baby. Let's
I
go.
am so sorry.
I was the one. I thought I was the one who was doped up on Benadryl here.
No, this podcast is permanently on Benadryl.
Yeah.
It's the Leg Kick podcast brought to you by Benadryl. Why smoke a joint when you can do Benadryl? So I don't think we have any news, but before we get into it, like the podcast, subscribe, tell your friends about it, tell your mother about it, tell your coworkers about it, tell the cockroaches living under your dresser about it, okay? Tell the raving lunatic homeless gentleman down the street preaching about the end times about it, okay? Because it really helps us when you do.
And on a really sad note, just to bring the podcast down, there has been a growing amount of homeless people on in my neighborhood recently. So they would be talking to us about the podcast. Let them know about it.
Wait, on a sad note, sad as in they're migrating into your area and you don't like seeing homeless people, or mad as in it's sad that homeless people exist as a concept?
It's sad that homeless people exist. The second one.
Mike may be a lefty after all. Anyways, any news, guys? I really couldn't find anything.
Yeah,
well,
I got
you have a
couple of things.
couple. There's a couple things. Sorry, David. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I got a couple of things. I'm just looking down now. First of all,
Hold on. We gotta do the transition. To news.
We didn't do intros. Transition.
Oh yeah, I gotta introduce these guys. Wow, this is disorganized. This is what happens when you're.
Okay, can we just restart?
This is what happens. No, we're good. It's okay. This is what happens though when your podcast is brought to you by illicit substances. Okay, like Benadryl. Anyways, top right, or if in whatever order these fine gentlemen are in. Michael Asiffo, current MMA fighter, former broadcaster for News Talk 1010. Mike, say hello to the good people.
You know, that one I actually did a little bit of work for. Good job.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you talk about, oh, the liberals are ruining our country and the price of milk is too damn high? I don't know. Jim Morton's coffee cost me another $5. Anyways. In the salmon-colored shirts, laying down hits in the NCAA, a D3 athlete, and a man with a beautiful smile. Jeremy, the salmon shirt Asiffo, say something for yourself.
It's nice to be here. I came late because, as you can see, I had to go get a headshot for my new acting career. So I had to go clean it up a little bit. And
don't forget the low people.
What?
Well, Jeremy, when you're cleaning up, don't forget to clean your toilet bowl. Anyways,
all right.
And finally, a man who needs an introduction.
It's part of my contract.
He once worked as an orderly for Israel Adesanya, MMA aficionado, scholar, gentleman, and a man whose haircut makes Jeremy's look good. David, say something to people.
What's up, everyone? Let's go. That's all I got today.
Who are you, the baby?
Basketball.
Are you the baby?
Pardon?
Let's go. Never mind. I don't even get the. I've never even heard a song of his.
That was a weird reference.
Anyways, and me. There's me, little old me, MMA fighter extraordinaire, Stefano Hosko, and we are coming at you. I already said
a
that.
librarian.
Yeah, librarian, ex-librarian. And I'm not a librarian. That requires a PhD. Library worker. Anyways, Let's get into the news. Let's see who interrupts who first.
To the news.
The news transition.
Let's get into the news and views of the week.
Wow, what a great transition, right?
Wow, that transition was really something sexual.
Yeah, that was great. First of all, since we're just jumping in on the news, Stefano, I think you and I have talked about this, but we haven't heard from the official Clarissa Shields cabal about her performance. I think there was some talk in our WhatsApp group about this, but
yeah, I think I heard the term white belt mentioned. Yeah, I think we should mention this real quick in our news segment.
So, since you guys are the official, Clarissa Shields groupie team, I thought it would be good. We thought it would be good to just get your thoughts. First of all, how was she that night?
Yeah, how'd she look? How many minutes did she spend in
How'd you guys talk about it on a Thursday? Like, wasn't it like the Thursday night?
Yeah, but how many minutes did she spend in Bottom Mount? I'm just curious. Was it 8? It was 8, wasn't it? I'm sure it was 8.
Oh my! No, I was just confused because you guys talked about it during a podcast.
Yeah, no, I think it was like the Thursday morning or something, Thursday afternoon. But by the time we recorded, it had already happened.
You guys think she's ready for Kayla Harrison?
Hell no! Oh my God, she's barely she's not ready for Leslie Smith, and you're talking about Kayla Harrison. Oh my God!
Yeah,
she's not ready for Jan Finney.
Jan Finney, poor Jan Finney.
That monster, Kayla Harrison. Are you kidding? Are you,
Jeremy? Speak for yourself. Speak for your wife. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, she's not ready for any of those people. But like I said, she had nothing to worry about, and she didn't. She did her thing, and I'm so extremely proud of the performance she did. And I just knew that she was too much of a dog to. I just knew she was too much of a dog to lose to a 3-6 fighter.
Well, like my dog, it's easy to pin him inside.
I will say, you know what, in defense of Clarissa Shields, because I don't want to turn this into a Clarissa Shields takedown, she did show some chutzpah out there. Like, you know this. There's a lot of guys, a lot of boxers who come into MMA, they get taken down, and then they kind of, quit under the pressure. Like, let an arm go, or try to, do something completely wrong, and then get taken advantage of, and the fight's over. And, part of it is that Brittany Elkins goofed up. I'm not going to lie. But the other part of it is Clarissa, in a weird way, persevered.
Yeah.
And
look, she's young. She's, what, 26?
Yeah, 26.
26. She's young. She's in a new sport. And, 26 is plenty of time to have an evolution if she actually wants to make a run at this MMA game. I just want to make it clear that my criticism of Clarissa Shields is more a trolling of Jeremy than an actual, she's a stupendous athlete. She did great things in boxing. And I honestly do look forward to her transformation. Because of her name, she wasn't given the luxury of, anonymity in her first couple MMA fights. But, she's got a lot of work to do. That's that much.
My question is, why am I being trolled? I was right.
No, you were not.
What was I wrong about?
You thought she was going to go in there, push her off, and just have an easy victory.
No, I didn't. No, I did not say that.
Hold on. Is that not what he said?
Was my overarching argument that she had nothing to worry about?
I mean, being held down in Mount for 8 minutes is certainly something to worry about. And I think the word seafood dinner, candlelit seafood dinner was mentioned at some point.
Okay.
Nice glass of Chardonnay.
Okay, she had nothing to worry about against Brittany.
Sundresses.
That was my overarching argument.
Sorry, around the room, guys. Did Jeremy not make it sound like Clarissa was going to have a walk in the park?
It seemed like Jeremy was supremely confident to me.
Yeah.
I knew she was going to win, and she won.
Jeremy, listen, you were outvoted, okay? Your opinion stands that you thought Clarissa Shields was going to have an easy victory. It doesn't matter if you disagree with us. This is democracy, not consensus. Anyways, any other news?
Yeah. Okay, so
and no more fight recaps.
No,
Like no more Fight Your Cups from other promotions. We'll get to that after. If that.
No. We have. Although I did want to quickly, I do have a Bellator related news item, but Chris Weidman is in the gym less than 7 weeks after leg surgery. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, as long as he's listening to his doctors.
That was a pretty horrific break. I feel like it's kind of early to be thinking about fighting, in my opinion. I get it. Yeah. He is a fighter. I was talking to Stefano a couple of days ago, and he was talking about a certain somebody he knows training for his mental health, even though he has a broken wrist. I don't know. I get it that it's the fighting instinct inside of him, but at the same time, you kind of got to let your body heal. And I don't know how bad a broken leg is, but from breaking my arm, I know that training too soon did not help its recovery for sure.
Well, David, we're not just talking a broken leg. We're talking a compound fracture, meaning that the bone was poking through the skin, and the bone also stabbed through his calf muscle. So, I mean,
there's muscle damage.
I'm assuming the UFC has shot him up full of all kinds of stem cells, taking him to the best doctors, and, the kind of treatment a Chris Weidman's going to get is not the kind of treatment one of us would get if we were to break their leg. But at the same time, ideally you want to see 7 weeks out, you want to see the man slow it down, relax, and, I know we're calling for the retirements of every other fighter on this podcast, but to me, somebody on a streak of how many losses is it?
Well,
I mean, he beat Omari Akhmedov, and then before that,
what was it? 4 of his last 5, or something like that, some number like that. Because
someone who's had such a well-documented and dramatic fall from grace as Chris Weidman, not grace as in the public's perception, but just as far as once a heralded champion, and now struggling to get by in this very dangerous 185 division.
But the problem
just wish him the best. That's all.
I will say the problem is though, that Weidman has also been a guy who has been competitive in a lot of his fights. It's not like he's been getting out of there, right? And that's kind of the issue is that it's not BJ Penn, right? I think it's a more noticeable thing when you're getting destroyed in every fight. With Weidman, in some cases you can make the argument he's winning until something,
even in the Yoel Romero fight, absolutely, yeah.
So, this is the problem with telling a guy who, it's like, oh, if I just, he's the one guy where he can say it to himself, if I just didn't duck under, maybe I would have beat Yoel Romero. If I just didn't throw that spinning wheel kick, maybe I would have beat Luke Rockhold. I beat Kelvin Gastelum, and Kelvin Gastelum fought Israel Adesanya, so maybe I just need to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to be good, right? And the problem, and you get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, I feel like at this stage, honestly, because I just looked at the footage that he posted on his Instagram, and man, I actually don't think he's coming back yet, or he's even thinking about coming back or improving or anything like that. Obviously, he probably has coming back and doing another fight. Just knowing fighters, that's probably a goal of his. So he's slowly working towards that, but. I think at this stage, it might just be a mental health thing, just proving to himself that, and just keeping active, keeping busy, and proving to himself that, he still has purpose. He still has the skills if he needed it. And there's still a chance of him making an eventual recovery. So, I don't want to be too harsh just from him going to the gym. I would definitely say, take it easy. I'm not a doctor, but a broken.
If he's listening, yeah.
Yeah, multiple compound fracture is not an easy injury to come back from. So, hopefully he does take it easy and can I wouldn't be mad if he had 1 or 2 more fights in the UFC just to see if he could, compete. That's totally fine. He's still relatively young. But yeah.
Well said. Well said. Any other pieces of news, gentlemen?
Yeah, one more. We have Pitbull versus Adrian McKee announced as the Grand Prix finale.
Adrian? Did you say Adrian McKee?
AJ McKee, not
AJ McKee, short for Antonio Jr.
Antonio Jr.
His dad being Antonio McKee Sr. The legendary MMA fighter and wrestler. Just one.
That's what you said. Yes. What you said.
Not Adrian McKee, right?
Yeah, okay, not Adrian. AJ McKee.
Unless Adrian Broner and
God damn, let the man live. He had one mistake.
No, I'm here to crucify him.
Stefano has said every single person's name perfect ever.
Yes, exactly, David Aga
Bruto. Guys, any thoughts about this fight, Pitbull versus AJ McKee?
I mean, what other fight are you gonna put out there?
I mean, that's the finals of the tournament, though, is it not?
Yeah.
That's the Bellator 145 tournament come to a culmination. Yeah. Interesting fight. We'll see if McKee can apply his wrestling.
Beats Pitbull.
Well, to be honest, I haven't been the closest spectator of Pitbull's career, so I don't know how he tends to do against wrestlers. He obviously beat Michael Chandler, but that was a quick affair and it was largely stand-up. We'll see. We'll see if AJ McKee can apply his wrestling on Pitbull and grind him out. It looks to me like he's got a bit of size advantage.
Yeah, it depends on, to me, what if he can handle Pitbull's power, right? Like Pitbull is just such a bowling ball of energy and power and explosiveness. But his striking is relatively kind of, I wouldn't say one note because that's kind of that sounds disrespectful, but it's very kind of in a good way basic, and he keeps it simple, right? But the problem with keeping it simple is you can look out for it, right? Like you can scout it. And so it just comes a matter of when you get hit, can you handle that power, right? So I guess if I had to sell the fight, I'd say, can AJ McKee handle the power to initiate his wrestling?
And once he initiates his wrestling, can he handle Pitbull's jiu-jitsu?
Exactly, right? So that's the sell. Bellator, you're welcome.
Mike, you got anything? Any other pieces of news? You look like you had something to say earlier.
Nah, I was good. I was gonna just kind of give a little bit of talk about the social media world and how it needs to stop, but we don't have
social media world. What are you talking about?
Well, the YouTube versus TikTok embarrassment that happened yesterday during the fights, which was,
to be honest, I'm kind of at the plate. I didn't pay any attention to it, and I just have no interest in it. I don't care if a bunch of celebrity boxing matches have been going since time immemorial.
Yeah,
immemorial. I just don't like it when you've got these legitimate fighter versus YouTube star kind of thing, and it's just. But if a bunch of prepubescent I think Zoomers want to get on a live YouTube stream and have a boxing match, have at it, have your fun, cosplay boxer for a day. I'm not interested. I don't care about it, but I'm not morally outraged by it either.
I do think it's jumped a shark though, if it's gonna, if you're gonna present it as this official boxing card, I don't.
Well, their fans are incredibly gullible. I mean, and generally not boxing fans, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think it hurts our sport or anything. I just think it's not my cup of tea, and for people with a lower IQ and fewer years on the planet than us.
I guess. I don't know. I just feel like in some indirect roundabout way, it does kind of disrespect combat sports a little bit when you see people paying more attention to those kind of cards than, let's say, a Robert Whittaker versus Calvin Gastelum on Saturday night. That's where I get a little angry. Where it's like,
oh sure, but keep in mind, those people that are paying attention to this YouTube versus TikTok thing, they're not combat sports fans. This is very insular. I don't think.
Why can't they be combat sports fans? You get what I'm trying to say? Why can't they?
Because they don't care about combat sports. They're a fan of these YouTube personalities, and here they're going to do a boxing match, right? And not everybody has to. I think it's okay that combat sports is a bit niche. I like it having it pure. I like not as pure as it's David got a little smirk. Not pure, but you know what I mean. A little more insular and not having to have every idiot at the bar have his take on, John Jones and
why doesn't he get up? Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, man. I think these people's interests are just not that of combat sports. Some people appreciate, combat sports fans, I think, appreciate combat sports because of the technique and the strategy for the most part, right? Some people are drawn to the brutality and the gore. But, these are the kind of people that just want to see people that they know fight, and they want a storyline behind it, and they're just not fans of technique, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, what is going to be interesting is how much social media's content is going to be coming out about this. The YouTube vlogs and post-fight vlogs are going to be something special.
Especially if they won. Like,
Yeah, especially if you won. Oh my goodness. Even if you lost, whatever. Just release one anyway. Whatever. But I didn't watch. And I will not be watching because I don't know who these. I don't watch YouTube or TikTok like that, so I don't care.
I'm curious, like, not enough to follow this up and actually pursue it with any kind of vigor, but I'm curious to see if the losers in these bouts lose subscribers over this and lose.
Imagine, maybe it's like a wager. You have to put up like 100,000 subscribers each.
Sure. Yeah, that would be funny. Or
Yeah,
even if
people
they're
who decide to
In that case, guys,
with
in
their
that
free
case,
will.
please sign the leg kick up because we have two excellent fighters here who would gladly take your 100,000 subscribers from you. So please.
Hey,
Oh yeah, I'll fight.
don't disrespect Jeremy. 3.
Three. Hold on, we said excellent fight.
Don't disrespect me.
Don't
4.
Don't disrespect my skill set by like that. Okay, 2 excellent fighters and 1 up and comer and another one.
No, you don't care.
Yeah,
I'll give it to him. Yeah,
There's
yeah.
tiers to this. The leg
Now-
kick tier.
Anything else before we hop onto the UFC card? Or
Jeremy, do you want to talk about boxing, or we can keep that
Boxing.
for afterwards?
Yeah.
Hold on.
No.
can we talk about boxing after? I'm open to it, but
No, it'll just be a part of news. We don't need transition. Shakur Stevens beat up Nakatilia. It's whatever. I'll talk about it in my video. It's okay.
All right.
It's whatever.
All right.
That's why we have This Week in Boxing. All right, so
But hold on. I like the boxing transition. Can I at least do the boxing transition one time? Like, let me put this in the video.
yeah, well, let's just do it at the end of the show, though.
hilarious. No, he's already said the boxing news. We had
That's it.
Yeah.
We are-
Boo, you guys
we are a
suck.
paragon of professionalism.
Okay, guys. So we want to jump into the UFC fight recap.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, cue the transition.
Transition.
Ding, ding.
Wow. I mean, I'm not usually one for transitions, but I have to admit, that was a good one.
That was a hell of a transition.
Well, main event, we had Izzy facing Marvin Vettori, and I think interesting in that Israel was able to maintain activity throughout the bout.
Forza
Marvin
Italia.
Yeah, Forza Italia.
Up, John. Let's go. Let's go. You're underselling. Adesanya wins the leg kick derby. Or derby, however you pronounce that word.
It's Derby.
Derby, doesn't matter.
Derby.
It doesn't matter. Israel Adesanya putting on for Nigeria, establishing the dominance or reinforcing the dominance of Nigeria once again in the UFC, making the Italian, what do they call it? Italian gangster?
Italian Dream. The
Is
Italian
that his
Dream.
nickname?
That's his
Italian
nickname.
Dream?
The
Wow.
Italian
Okay.
Dream.
Making the Italian Dream have a Nigerian nightmare, to use Kamaru Usman's name. It was a clinic.
I have the feeling that David's been saving that one up for months.
I know. I literally thought that on the spot.
He's lying in bed. He's lying in bed one night when this matchup gets announced. He's like, oh, hilarious. Okay. Nigeria nightmare, Italian dream, hilarious.
All
Oh,
right.
damn,
will
my
say-
technical notes went up on screen for a second. Anyways,
Okay, all right. No, I've got actually some notes on this one because I thought this was an interesting fight. First of all, I want to start with praise for Vettori because I think he gets kind of framed as a grappler a lot of the times, or kind of like a meathead fighter. But first of all,
Because he's awkward in and out of the ring. That's why.
yeah, and also, in the preview, we were talking about how Vettori has to go forward in this fight, and he did exactly what we thought he should do. He did go forward for the majority of the fight. I thought his stand-up was pretty good. I thought he dominated the boxing exchanges, honestly, because he landed up. Let me use a different word. He eked the boxing exchanges because because he did land a few good shots throughout the fight. I thought, his head movement was good. You could tell Israel was having to make a lot of adjustments. He wasn't able to just one double jab cross his way in. He definitely had to be a little bit cute with it. And towards the later rounds, I thought Vettori's pressure was kind of eventually paying dividends. And I thought Vettori, had more takedown success in this fight than he did in the last fight, ironically. Even though, I don't think this was as close a fight as the last one. No. I thought he did a good job, securing more takedowns than the last fight. And clearly he came in with a game plan. So maybe he executed his game plan to the best of his ability. But unfortunately, Adesanya was a little too cunning for the game of the night.
I think so. And if I could jump in, I thought Vettori had a good use of the double jab to cover distance, which, provided more limited opportunities for Izzy to counter, right? I thought he did a very good job of that. Occasionally up against the fence, the cross was there. Izzy's head movement up against the fence was phenomenal. I would have liked to have seen, what do you want, Boomy? I would have liked to have seen Vettori drop on the hips more when Izzy was moving his head up against the cage. Also, I think a more diverse set of double leg finishes would have done him well. He was attempting that, cut an angle off the cage and drive out an open space like he did 20 times against Holland. But Israel's hips looked very good. The couple opportunities he was able to succeed on.
Sorry, go ahead. I don't want it to cut you off.
Yeah, just a couple points because I don't want to go on a soliloquy here. But he did had a good account of himself. Tough as hell, as we expect out of Vettori. Ate a tremendous amount of leg kicks. Adesanya, I'm going to go back and watch this fight again because he chose to fight large portion of this fight through southpaw. Out of southpaw. Southpaw, so that he could prioritize the leg kick, which I thought was very interesting. And Vettori ate about,
must have been 20, 30. Leg kicks.
Another number was 33.
33. That's insane. He would.
Sorry, I apologize. 41.
One thing that I love that he did was he had a couple of different setups for the leg kick, but one of them that I thought was just tremendous was he would fake a kick to the open side and then step deep into southpaw stance and then kick the leg. That was beautiful. And it seemed like he'd throw from southpaw across and then lean to the open side and throw that lead uppercut. And that lead uppercut could not miss. That was clearly a big part of his game plan. I think to capitalize on maybe Vettori's kind of posture or whatnot, but
he likes to pull. That's the thing. So
stepping deep off of that cross. I thought it was an interesting fight, not the kind that gets the casuals going, but I thought it was a good display of heart and toughness on Vettori's part. And sorry guys, go on.
No, I was going to just add just a couple points too, is that just to build off of your points is that Izzy really did kind of systematically break down what he wanted to do. The first round was leg kicks. The second round, a little more diverse skill set of how he wants to exchange with those leg kicks. Particularly, like you mentioned, the kind of knee step into the leg kick and the uppercut. So he would throw that straight right, step through and throw that lead uppercut, which was, I thought, really nice. And then in the later rounds, mix in a leg kick at the end of that too. Just classic Muay Thai style, which I think was really, you really just saw a step above.
Mike, real quick, for the people that might not know, can you tell people why throwing that lead uppercut into the low kick is so effective?
You're basically shifting your weight into now loading up for that leg kick to come across. So you're getting more power through disguising the leg kick and cutting through, which I think was, if I explained it, if people understand what I'm trying to explain, is that you're shifting towards your power and loading up, and then unloading your power.
Exactly.
Downstairs. It's a leg kick.
Additionally, the uppercut has the function of lifting the opponent, lifting their weight out of their stance because it comes up, taking their weight off their lead leg as well. So it has a dual purpose in that. Yeah, sorry.
No, I think that was really important to explain. Sorry, David, go ahead.
I was gonna, yeah, no, I mean, I was just gonna raise a couple more points on Adesanya. Just looking at my notes here, I felt like his movement was really good throughout the fight. He was constantly moving, and I feel like for a while that was giving Vettori a lot of trouble. And once again, showed good takedown D for middleweight, better than his last fight against Blachowicz.
That was my other thing.
Blachowicz.
That was my.
Jesus, I'm just Blachowicz. And yeah, maybe that's to do with, maybe he's just a little bit more, within his weight division at middleweight than light heavyweight. But I thought that was a big factor.
100%,
because
yeah.
Vettori's not a small middleweight. He's definitely got some strength and power on him. But you could tell, like, Adesanya was able to use his own, like, core strength to kind of stifle the takedown a little bit more and a little bit better. And it
just to build on that point, they made mention. I think Joe Rogan actually had a pretty good night last night, I will say. And one of the things he brought up was that Vettori looked noticeably bigger than in previous fights. Mm-hmm. He looked physically bigger. So I think the game plan was to really bully Israel Adesanya in those wrestling exchanges, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And when he did get him down, Israel Adesanya was nice, composed, and had a couple good technical sweeps. There was one in full guard. He swept Marvin Vettori and got him full mount, and it was nice. It was.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job of staying safe on the ground in the times that he was in guard. Didn't eat a lot of shots. Did a good job of kicking free and getting to that 4-point position. He fought the hands very well from the back body lock. Vettori was able to mat return him a couple of times, but it's not like a lot of the ground exchanges resulted in anything decisive. I think tell me if I'm wrong, but Vettori in the early rounds attempted a leg lock on.
Yes, he did.
That was interesting. Yeah. And I thought that could have resulted in something significant, but Adesanya able to clear the knee. Also, Adesanya able to stay composed when Vettori had his back as well on the ground. Man, he was quite slippery in that exchange. Able to go on.
No, I was gonna say what I did find though is that Adesanya seemed really willing to engage with Vettori in this one, even when his hands weren't necessarily landing the way that I would think he would want, because coming into the fight, he said that he wanted to get a knockout, and I feel like he was more willing to engage in long brawls with Vettori, which is kind of Vettori's comfort place. And, his counters, which are usually pinpoint accurate, don't get me wrong, he definitely did get Vettori a couple of times, but his, counter hooks, for example, they weren't really, making the same impact as they usually would. So,
well, I mean, I have the stats here. If you look at the unofficial, I guess these are kind of the UFC official stats because they've had the day to go over them. I just want to know if this would change your mind. Vettori to the head was 42 of 158 in terms of head strikes. Head significant strikes, sorry. 42 of 158. He was, and Israel Adesanya was 44 of 118. So Israel Adesanya landed more and threw less going to the head than Marvin Vettori.
It doesn't change my mind. I feel like Vettori was definitely the aggressor when it came to the boxing range. I think Adesanya had him beat when it came to kicking range, but when it came to boxing range, I would definitely say Vettori kind of eked out those exchanges. Another thing I wanted to talk about just quickly, and we got to get Jeremy on this as well, but do you guys feel like Vettori was a little too, I wouldn't say complacent, but a little too labored in his takedown of Adesanya? In that maybe he could have been a little bit more explosive or done more takedowns in the open as opposed to up against the cage?
I would say that because of Adesanya's movement, his ability to use frames, taking him down out in the open is difficult, right? Like to take someone down in the open, that fleet of foot is tough unless you catch them running onto you, which with Adesanya just wasn't the case. I would have liked to see him chain wrestle a little more up against the cage, but again, after a fight with that many belabored failed takedown attempts, you're going to get tired. I would have liked to have seen him switch it up nonetheless. He had a good single leg attempt. I think he went to that like outside reap a couple of times, but couldn't pry Adesanya off the cage. One thing though, I think where Vettori's going to be kicking himself is that he was headhunting. We know he's a decent kicker,
Sure.
but up against the fence when Adesanya is moving his head, that's an invitation to kick the legs and the body. And he took the bait. He swung at the head. And even on the occasions when he was able to land, I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity. He shot in a couple of times from there, which was good. I would have liked to see more than that, but more attacks to the body and the legs up against the fence when Adesanya is bobbing.
And when he was actually throwing leg kicks towards the later rounds, he was actually landing them too because he hadn't thrown them the entire fight. So
and Vettori's a monster.
Vettori was 9 of 10 with his leg kicks.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like, maybe that's just because, Adesanya hadn't seen that look the entire fight. So when you throw it in at the end, then maybe it's just a little bit more surprising. But yeah, maybe that could have been a tool to just kind of switch it up, I think. So Jeremy, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I don't have any in-depth analysis. I just enjoyed the fun fight.
What stood out to you?
The ass grab by Israel Adesanya.
Oh, that was quite funny. That was quite funny.
What stood out to me? How much improvement Adesanya had on his back. I thought that really stood out to me.
See, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
No, see, I don't know how much of it was an improvement because he definitely did look a little improved, but how much of that is just Jan's good? Like when are we gonna give Jan his respect? You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure. For sure. I think there were big differences between this fight and the Jan fight. And I think I'm gonna step away from grappling just for a second. Another reason Adesanya might have been more willing to engage, and I think they talked about this during the commentary, is just the power difference. Jan has sneaky Polish power. While Vettori is a strong guy, I don't think Adesanya respected the power in the same way. And maybe that is the reason why it was a little bit more, why Vettori was able to have a little bit more success in boxing range than in the first.
Yeah, David, we mentioned that in the preview episode that Vettori doesn't carry the same one-punch knockout power that Jan does, and if you want to get someone freezing and committing to walk in on you, I mean, power is a good tool to make that happen, but unfortunately, some people are just not gifted with that. And Vettori, much more of a grinder and much more of somebody who's trying to pull and throw counter combinations to end up on your legs, and that was a big difference in this fight for sure.
So where do we go from here in the middleweight division?
Oh, really quick, before we go into that, I just want to say that we mentioned it earlier, but after the tragic death of his friend, Israel Adesanya, giving a shout out to his friend and training partner that was murdered, a bunch of people, ganged up on him in a bar and beat him to death, essentially.
Yeah,
so that was very tragic, and nice to see Adesanya showing some love to his late friend.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? I mean, he said it himself, Robert Whittaker. I think that's an easy match to make. I think you get plenty of attention over in Oceania for this fight for sure.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And this is the crazy thing too, is that, if not for Robert Whittaker really just looking impressive in the last three, Cannonier, Till, Cannonier, and Gastelum, I really do think Israel Adesanya had every right to say, you know what, I'm going to give another shot at light heavy. Because if you look at the top 10, it's a graveyard of Israel Adesanya victims or guys who have lost to guys, or guys who have lost to guys who have lost to Adesanya, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's still The middleweight division is still figuring out itself. I would say Whitaker is definitely the standout, definite number one contender. But the rest of the division is either matched up in terms of pairs to fight in the future, or they've already lost to Adesanya. And it's going to be a long time. Like, I think it's going to be a long time until we see Adesanya Costa again, for example.
So who do we have here? We got Robert Whitaker starting at number 1. Paulo Costa at 3.
Who, by the way, lost to Adesanya. You know, like let's also remember that Whitaker lost to Adesanya. But
yeah, I'm just saying in terms of deserving contenders. We got Paulo Costa. No one's clamoring to see that fight right away. Vettori. Okay, we just saw that. Derek Brunson on a bit of a streak, but nothing, you know. I'd give him a fight or two more. And then we're going down to Cannonier, Hermanson, Till, Gastelum, Hall, and then Strawn Strickland. So, yeah, outside of Whitaker, you're really struggling to see a contender that can.
Like, I would like to see a Uriah Hall, like a really motivated Uriah Hall versus Adesanya fight. I think that would be actually interesting, but the onus is on Uriah Hall to get like that streak of wins that's going to earn him that title shot. You know what I mean? Like, he has like it would be interesting enough of a fight because it would be essentially like a stand-up fight, kickboxing fight. And I think, you know, he has power that would give Adesanya a little bit of problems, and he's technical enough to make it a cerebral fight. But yeah, I would like to see that, but he just can't get consistent enough to actually get that title shot.
Let me ask you guys a question. If, let's say, you could pick any fighter, but balloon them up to 185, or shrink them to 185, and say this fighter can give Israel Adesanya based on certain technical advantages or athletic advantages, who would you pick? Like, who would be a guy that you would say, hey, this guy is going to give him problems?
I honestly think Whitaker could give him problems. You don't have to look far outside of the division, to be honest with you. Yeah. David shaking his head. I mean, Vettori gave him. Vettori didn't win, and you know the closest he came to winning was that rear naked choke. But he didn't make Adesanya look like he was in a league of his own. You know, it was.
No, I agree with that. But the problem is just stylistically with Whitaker's blitzing style. Although I do think he's being a little bit more cute with his blitzing recently, so that definitely would help. But I think stylistically, like Whitaker's just Adesanya is just not a good matchup for Whitaker in my opinion because
the height. Is it the height?
It's not just the height. It's the height, the reach, but also just like the fact that Adesanya is your prototypical counter fighter. Whitaker is more of a blitzing style. Whitaker is hands low karate style. Adesanya is like, you know, reactive, like Muay Thai. I don't even know how to describe Adesanya, but.
Well, he's a fusion.
He's a Stylebender.
Yeah.
No, for real though. That's a good description. Yeah, for real. Like because he does a lot of different things. And I just feel like when it comes to the stand-up, like he's still a level above Whitaker, even though I think Whitaker's like amazing and deserves a title shot. So I wouldn't put Whitaker as the person to pose a problem. I would have put like Yoel Romero or somebody like that.
I don't know.
But just because of the wrestling, but. Now,
I mean, Whitaker's somebody who can. Whitaker is definitely somebody who can apply wrestling offensively, right, when he needs to. I think if he slows down, if he's a little more tactical, and I think he wasn't, didn't win large stretches of that. He did win. Okay. How do I rephrase this? He exploited tendencies in Adesanya that if he looks back in it, I think he can exploit again. For instance,
he had moments.
Yeah, off of the blitz, getting Adesanya to lean back, he made the mistake of headhunting against Adesanya that a lot of people do. A lot of people take the bait. Whitaker, you know, if he kicks more, if he incorporates his wrestling, I think as a good he employs his all-around skill set, I think he might have a chance.
Right. Can I just say one more thing? Is that even though I do think Whitaker does have the wrestling to give Adesanya problems, I wouldn't say he has better wrestling than a Vettori, for example. So, you know, We'll see. Is what I
Well,
would say.
also, I think that Vettori did come a little off. I think the muscle that he did add maybe didn't benefit him the way he thought it would,
I thought
because
he
he
looked
looked
okay.
a little. Because the problem with Vettori is, I know he's not the fastest guy, and how he gets guys is based on awkwardness, but he also didn't. He looked slower to me. Am I wrong in saying that? Did he look slower to you guys? He looked a little more labored. No,
Maybe in the later rounds.
Yeah, because his knee was getting mangled, but I thought he did a good job in kind of following Adesanya. I mean, Adesanya was moving constantly, so there's also that. And as you said, I mean, he did shoot for a lot of takedowns, so maybe that also affected his cardio. But
4 of 14, 28%.
yeah, I felt like I don't know. I felt like he looked okay, like right up there in terms of speed. Maybe not as fast as Adesanya, for example, but I thought he looked okay, personally. But anyway. All right, guys. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, what a different fight this one was from the original.
Damn.
Different in just about every way. One of the things that struck me right away with this fight is that Moreno's jab looked phenomenal. He was doubling, tripling it up, and just through activity and pushing the pace, adding in a few kicks of his own, and just keeping Davison on the back foot. Those easy counters that opened up for Davison early on weren't there. Like, was there a point in this fight that you felt that Davison was, like, competitively in it?
No. And
No.
no.
No, actually, hold on. There was a moment. I would say in the second round, right after the bell, Davison Figueiredo comes out with a few good strikes, and he even initiates like a grappling situation, and gets Moreno to the floor. I think there, I'm like, okay, this guy clearly knows he's lost the first
that's
round.
right, the takedown, yeah.
I feel like he knew he lost the first round and knew he had to like make an impact in the second round. What I would say though is Moreno throughout this fight, first round, second round, third round, just reinforced that he's a better grappler than Figueiredo. I don't think that's
slick back take, right?
Oh,
like crazy.
Twice.
Yeah. And even like the way he finished the fight with the rear naked choke. Initially, Figueiredo does a good job in fighting the hands and literally separating his hands. But there's just, I don't know, I watched it a couple of times and I like the way Moreno like kind of fakes with, well, not really fakes, but throws Figueiredo off with the shots with the left to the face and makes Figueiredo like lift his arm, which gives him that space to like slide his right hand, I think it was, through under Figueiredo's neck and sink in the choke as well. So yeah, man, I thought like Brandon Moreno showed his grappling is not to be messed with. And honestly, I also want to add, I thought it was about equal, if not he had the better of the stand-up exchanges. In the first fight, I thought Figueiredo pretty much dominated the stand-up exchanges in my opinion. But in this one, I thought Moreno looked, as you said, the more active fighter with that jab, with the leg kicks. But yeah, he like Figueiredo just didn't seem to get out of first gear, really, in my opinion.
You know, and I gotta say, sorry, Stefano, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I think a big part of that was the jab of Moreno, from which he was working more offensively off of. You look at the jab in the first fight, and you know it was one speed. There was nothing behind it, and it was just easy for Davison to find those cross counters and work his way into the fight from there. But through doubling and tripling that jab up, those same counter opportunities weren't there.
Michael, I would like to, if since you got the stats up, if you could pull up the stats for how many strikes Figueiredo threw in that first round. It has to be either single digits or like low teens.
So total strikes for Figueiredo was 7 of 13.
That's what I thought, man. Because he was not active. At first, I was like, okay, he's not rushing. He's being a little bit more patient, which is probably for the best, seeing that he kind of gassed out in that last fight, which is why he got caught in the later rounds.
Which is weird because he won the 5th round. Like
which is exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it just seemed like after a while he couldn't really catch Moreno's rhythm, maybe because of that like double and triple jab, as you said. But it also seemed like he didn't want to throw and get into a brawl with Moreno like last time. He was kind of waiting for the big shot each time. A couple of times he completely whiffed on like a really loaded up hook, for example. So I'm
And
just
isn't that what got him the knockdown too? Because he loaded up so hard that he ran into a hard jab.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a weird fight for me. I think Figueiredo will definitely look back on that one and be super disappointed with his performance. I think he looked pretty tentative for the entire fight. Apart from like those first couple of moments in the second round. And yeah, Moreno deserved to win, honestly. And I hope they run this one back because I think Figueiredo deserves it. His skill set is just so dangerous that we deserve to see this again. But yeah, Moreno's a deserved champion, in my opinion.
I think Figueiredo moves up in weight. I
was gonna say he's cutting so much weight,
especially after the troubles, like time after time again. One bad weight cut is, a cause for, concern and maybe an excuse for losing the fight. But it seems like every time he steps in, he just has a horrendous weight cut. And at a certain point, you've got to think, what are the benefits and, weigh the cost-benefit analysis of stepping up a weight class.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think I don't know how well that would do him because I don't know that at 135 his power is all that remarkable, but we will have to see. I'm calling it now. I think he goes up a weight class after this, though. I really do.
I think he should because look, you can't. I say this a lot. Philosophically, I think guys are cutting way too much weight, and 40 pounds.
Well, they got to make the weight, right?
But they have to make the weight.
They got to make the weight.
If you contractually agree to fight at 125, you got to, do your,
Michael,
especially your champion. But let me just say what I'm saying because I don't think when weight cutting is done, I don't think you're actually getting that much of an advantage if you're cutting 40 pounds of weight and then coming into the scale with 30 seconds left of the clock to barely make it. You know what I'm saying? Who does that help? Does that help you? Seriously, does it help you? And I think at some point, Figueiredo's really got to just take a cost-benefit analysis and say, am I doing a disservice to my skill set by cutting 40 pounds and coming in at 125? What was I gonna say? Just to kind of bring Jeremy in because he's our boxing guy. What do you think of Moreno's jab? Because I was really impressed with it. I thought Moreno really worked off his jab really well.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't even notice it. I was so taken aback by how the tables were turning. I did not expect Moreno to even have a chance. I didn't even notice he was using his jab. Yeah, I gotta go back and watch. I didn't even notice it.
No, that's fair. Because he did really turn the tables. Who's next up at 125 for you guys?
Let's see. I'm gonna pull up the rankings. I have a couple ideas, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, where I would rank. It's got to be Askarov, right? Like I think that's pretty. He's definitely the number one contender in that division. Even before,
although I wasn't thoroughly impressed by his previous performances based on merit alone. I mean, what's his? Let me see.
He's undefeated in the division. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, the highest ranked person after him is Joseph Benavidez, which
14-0-1. Yeah, I'd give Askarov the shot for sure. Pantoja coming off a loss to Askarov. Benavidez is on 3 losses. I don't know why he's ranked at number 5. Alex Perez is coming off a loss to Figueiredo. David Dvorak is the next person that doesn't have a loss in recent memory, but he's obviously a little bit away from a title shot. I think you're right. I think Askarov's the next guy. Sumo Darji has a main event coming up. He's someone in the division I'm excited for, but tentatively, Yeah.
Yeah,
Where's Mike?
he's gone.
No, I was just looking for something. Ugh. But yeah, okay. Moving on. To let's see the Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz fight. Now,
Oh man,
this fight was going about how we expected it to go until 1 minute to go in the fifth, and then we realized as to why even some of the hardcores still love Nate Diaz.
Can I just say that this is the worst possible way that a victory could have gone from Leon Edwards? He fought a tactical but low volume and, to the average eye, fairly uneventful fight for the early rounds, for the majority of the fight, only to get caught by a classic Stockton slap left hand combo. I think Leon looked good, but even for my liking, and I tend to be very tolerant of lower paced fights, really failed to press his advantage. He was low kicking the ever living daylights out of Nate Diaz, and seemed to fail to follow that up with punches, which is kind of what you should be doing, right? His clinch work looked good. His takedowns were phenomenal. He would hit that. He would attempt the trip, and he would, on several occasions, he hit that outside trip that a lot of people are using, where you hook around their leg and pull the leg out. And when he didn't get it, he'd go for the go behind and threw Nate Diaz a number of times from the back position. I think he was very wise about not engaging in leg lock battles against Nate Diaz when he didn't have to, or guard battles, and just kind of use takedowns to secure dominant positions. When Nate Diaz tried to regard, he'd get back up. Nate even attempting a nice outside heel hook at one point, but Leon Edwards able to free the leg. Yeah, what do you guys think? Is my assessment correct?
I thought that way, so many different things, because there's a technical side, which I would definitely want to get into, because this was actually a pretty interesting fight, in my opinion, from a technical standpoint. But yeah, I would say, looking overall, Edwards would have to be disappointed with his performance in this. Not because he even performed bad, but just from the grand scheme of things, you want a knockout of Nate Diaz, a well-worn Nate Diaz on your record, on your resume, really, because I feel like Nate Diaz wasn't even ranked going into this fight, and Edwards is ranked number 3, and he's trying to get that title shot. So a third round knockout would have really made like a statement and really put his name on the map. And I think he has to be a little bit disappointed with himself not for getting that. But what I would say, though, is not for the lack of trying. Even though he could have tried a little bit more, I do think like he was landing a couple of really good shots. He had a few like elbows that were really nice, a few like straights that really hit Nate Diaz, in my opinion. And yeah, I think, yeah, as you said, he brutalized Diaz's legs, like each. Like that, from the open, he didn't really switch at all throughout the fight, pretty much. He was fighting the entire fight from southpaw, but each time just blasting Nate Diaz's, whether it's his left leg, right leg, really didn't matter. He was just
right leg being that they're both southpaws, yeah. Hey, I said it in the preview episode, though. The fight is going to be interesting, and it was interesting, but it's going to be largely forgettable, and it's going to be... Leon Edwards, mark my words, will be overlooked for a title shot again. And honestly, I can't disagree. In this case, if your top contender is struggling to get by Nate Diaz, no disrespect, because Nate Diaz is a very dangerous opponent, but there's a blueprint out there to beat him. And mark my words, Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson will produce fireworks either way. I tend to think Wonderboy wins that fight, and that's going to be your next shot after Kobe.
You see, so when you look at the stats, right, we all think one-sided, 4-1, if not 3-2, right?
What? There's no 2.
There's no 2.
5-0.
Whatever.
That's it.
Well, I would say because it wasn't a knockdown, but because of the last minute.
He stumbles him in the 5th round, but I think Leon Edwards was winning that round, like pretty clear.
You have to. Especially, I will say one little detail that no one's gonna talk about is I really like Leon Edwards, but around 5th round, butt sweeping Nate Diaz, let him know, brother, I'm not fighting. I'm not gonna fight defensively tonight. Like you're gonna, you're still gonna get this work.
I'll tell you what I didn't love about Leon Edwards in that 5th round. He's looking at the clock when he gets stung.
Yeah, because he was out. He was almost out.
He was out. Yeah, I mean, hey, I've never been there, so I can't judge. But like, he was like not looking to engage anymore after taking a couple of those shots.
What do you think of Nate Diaz's antics?
I did not like them. I thought, even though they were interesting, like, I get why he was doing it to like kind of throw from unorthodox positions. I don't think, when you're deep in the 3rd and you're down 3 rounds, like maybe now's the time to kind of.
It screams to me frustration, though. It screamed to me frustration.
Even the crowd wasn't responding to it. Like in the later rounds, the crowd just wouldn't even respond to him doing that stuff, and he just stopped. I mean, yeah, it's one thing to showboat when you're like building meaningful offense, but he really wasn't accumulating anything throughout the first 4 rounds.
And I don't think it was showboating. To me, I think it was he's frustrated that Leon Edwards is fighting this tactical of a fight and he can't get anything off. So he's trying to get Leon Edwards to act out character.
Yeah,
and rush.
What's stuck to me?
Okay, like
what stuck out to me is like, man, Leon Edwards is kind of like a perfect fighter. In the sense that his kickboxing was flawless.
A perfect fighter?
No, but think about it. Like, what is his weakness? Maybe he doesn't have enough power. Maybe.
What is his weakness? Well, first of all, he's British, meaning that he probably won't be able to wrestle the top end of the division.
Maybe.
What is his weakness? Tentativeness?
He has just no slouch with wrestling, and
I would like him to be a little more aggressive. I would like it to be.
He's tentative and doesn't maximize his advantage in a lot of cases, and that in and of itself is a weakness, right? A perfect fighter at 170 is not somebody who struggles to beat Nate Diaz, not even put away, right?
I meant
I will even say, sorry, go ahead.
I meant perfect in certain sense. If you look at like his attributes, like he's super strong. That was clear last night. He definitely outpowered Nate Diaz. He's quick. He's got great kickboxing, like elite kickboxing, I would say. I can't think of many better kickboxers in the division other than maybe like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and like the obvious ones. But his wrestling defense is good. I thought it looked better than Adesanya's last night, like way better. He was doing things that Adesanya was not doing on defense.
Hold on. He's also wrestling against Nate Diaz, who is classically not a very good wrestler.
And also probably is a 155er if we have to be honest. Like,
yeah, Nate Diaz has been out wrestled by the top of the division at 170 forever, since the Ray McDonald fight.
Okay, so
and
you guys are clearly not as excited about Leon Edwards as I am, but I was actually thoroughly impressed with his skill set last night. Is what I'm trying to say.
I like him and I like his skill set, but then I watched the fight back again, and I have to agree with Stefano. He was tentative, and even when you look at the stats here, and stats don't mean everything, especially in mixed martial arts. But Leon Edwards, 77 significant strikes landed out of 132. Nate Diaz, 76 out of 162. Yeah, right now, most of them were in the 5th round.
That seems kind of weird because
most of them were in the 5th round.
Too many shots that Nate Diaz landed, but I can definitely think of a lot of hard shots that Leon Edwards landed, in my opinion. And when it came to like the grappling, it wasn't close. I always thought Nate Diaz was a little bit better than that, but I guess you guys would know better than I am and say he's not a wrestler at all.
Nate Diaz is good in certain. Nate Diaz is. I'm not saying he doesn't have legitimate skill sets, but if you can get him to fight out of his comfort zone, and you're a high level fighter, generally you'll beat him, and that's been established since the Benson Henderson fight, I think. And yeah, what do you guys think though, as far as him deserving a title shot off?
Definitely.
Are you with me?
I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% certain. Sorry, Michael, to cut you off. Like, I'm super passionate that I think that Leon Edwards deserves a title shot, and I would even go as far as saying that other than Kamaru Usman, who I think still poses like a lot of problems when it comes to the grappling. But other than him, I really don't see who beats Leon Edwards because
that is a crazy. Honestly, that should be featured in our bad take segment.
Go for it, man. I don't
After nearly getting finished by a Nate Diaz, who's at the tail end of his career, fighting up a division, you think that no one in the division could beat Leon Edwards? When we witnessed Nate Diaz come within seconds of doing it. Hold on, this doesn't work if we're talking at the same time.
Yeah, let's keep talking at the same time too. I'm saying based on his skill set, man. I just don't see who beats Leon Edwards. This is gonna be lame. This is gonna be weird to say, but
Wait,
he
you don't
reminds
see
me.
who beats him
Hold
when
on, let
Nate
Dave, let
Diaz
Dave
came
finish
within
his
seconds
point.
of
Let
doing
Dave
it?
finish his point. Let Dave finish his point.
Wait,
Dave.
no, wait. First of all, that's like saying, yeah, but he came close to beating Nate Diaz as well. Like, and he did beat Nate Diaz. Like, he came close, but he didn't lose. So I don't
But
know.
that's
I don't,
not the point. That's not the point. Against somebody who's not even close to within title contention, who should be, this is really your fight that was supposed
Okay,
to. This wasn't.
Stefano, let me ask you a question. Let's say Nate Diaz in that fifth round by some miracle got Leon Edwards out of there, because let's be honest, one more minute left and maybe we're talking a different story tonight.
That's
right? But
David,
okay,
how
fine.
are you?
No, yes,
did you
hold
watch
on.
different
Let me
fight from me?
finish the question, because let me watch the finished question. Let's say Nate Diaz won that fight last night. Does he get a title shot in the UFC?
Dana said he would.
Huh?
Dana said he would.
So why are we playing this game that, like, I agree, Leon Edwards, not a very he was dominant, but he was dominant against Nate Diaz at the tail end. So not very inspiring performance, in my opinion. But we can't play this game where Nate Diaz was going to get a title shot. So now, because Leon Edwards doesn't have as big of a name, and
wait, who's we though? Or we're
it's not
talking
because of his
hyperbolically.
name, it's because of the performance. I think that's
I was against
Okay.
Nate Diaz getting a title shot from the jump.
Okay, fair enough.
People coming off of 3-fight losing streaks shouldn't get title shots.
Stefano, let me pose this to you then. Who beats Leon Edwards?
Kamaru,
Based on skill set.
Kamaru, Colby.
Hold on, let me state my point though before you interrupt me. So, Kamaru, I think Kobe beats him. I think Kobe, he's not able to contend with the wrestling of Kobe. Okay, shake your head. We can make a bet on it if you want. I think Kobe beats him. I think Gilbert Burns has a good shot of beating him. Absolutely. I think Wonder Boy beats him.
I think Wonder Boy beats him. Well, it depends on, because Wonder Boy Father Time at some point is going to slap Wonder Boy across the face.
Because he's not like a pure kickboxer is why I'm just thinking like a lot of these guys are not going to be able to deal with him, because
the only reason why
did the guy slip a 20 in your pocket before the podcast?
No, I watched the fight. Like, I watched the fight and I watched it twice. Like, what's interesting is that every time Nate Diaz would come close and try to close the range on Leon Edwards, even though he had the reach advantage, Leon would body lock, drive to the cage, take him down. Like, I mean, I just feel like I was seeing him mix things up in a way that I don't see a lot of dudes doing. I think
you're getting blinded by the fact that he's facing Nate Diaz. Like, and I hate saying it like that. I don't want to say it like that, because Nate Diaz did a lot of things when Nate Diaz was the man, and he was one of my favorite fighters growing up, and I love Nate Diaz. This is not a takedown to Nate Diaz, but this is a Nate Diaz who said himself did not train for the last month because he had a cut on his eye. And
he definitely had a cut in his eye again.
This is not the same as Israel Adesanya having a dominant at tricky and performance against Anderson Silva and struggling to put him away. This is not the same thing. Make no mistake about it, because Izzy was not in danger for any second of that fight, and he played a chess match with Anderson Silva and came out on the winning end. This is not that. This is someone struggling to get by somebody who's nowhere even close to contention, with notable flaws in his game, and nearly getting finished.
Do you what? Okay, that's not a fair. Okay, you know what? I'm a little bit too animated about this, but what I would say is I don't think it was struggle. I think it was in cruise control. Eventually, in the 5th round, his hands got low and he got caught because he was engaging a little bit too much.
I do think struggling is a strong word. I do think struggling is I said struggling
to put away. I said struggling to put away.
Okay, fair enough. I thought you meant like struggling to beat him. Like, I was like, struggle. That's a
okay, yeah, no, that was my reaction. Yeah.
Well,
I will say though, you're crazy if you don't think Colby can't out wrestle Leon Edwards.
No, he can out wrestle Leon Edwards. Although I don't know if there's like a huge. I don't know if Colby has the strength advantage in that fight. Honestly, I think Leon Edwards might have him when it comes to just like pure strength. And when it comes on the feet, I think. Pardon?
I do think.
Based
hyperbolic.
on the eye test, I think Leon Edwards is
The
stronger
eye
than
test.
Colby Covington.
Well, I think
This is all
what's the comparable?
speculation.
It's for sure it's speculation. But
Well,
how,
okay,
like,
when we take a look at Leon Edwards' record, right, and so he's faced grapplers before and has come
only
out the
one
winning
loss.
end, right? You know, his only loss is to Kamaru Usman, who we now know is a killer. So,
Like the
and it
best.
was early in Leon Edwards' career. But when you take a look at his record, and I'm pulling it up here, I'm on the good old fashioned Wikipedia interwebs here, you know, and you take a look at his winning streak. There is Gunnar Nelson. There's RDA. You know, there are some guys he's had to you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Really show his grappling mettle against. So, am I saying Colby Covington's not going to be able to do a one? You know, give him the what for on the ground? For sure. Am I saying that Nate Diaz got murdered for every second of that fight? No. But what I am saying, though, is we can't play this game of based on what for Leon Edwards being stronger than Colby Covington, but based on what do we have to say that Colby Covington is going to have success against Leon Edwards? Right?
Yeah,
We don't
Based
know.
on Leon Edwards struggling with grapplers historically.
He struggled with Kamaru Usman, who's the best grappler in the division.
Yeah, and also had a
the best
horrendous
grappler in the
third
UFC
third round against Gunnar Nelson, if you recall.
He did have a horrendous third round against Gunnar Nelson.
Yeah,
That is true.
I haven't. I didn't watch that fight, so I can't really. But what I saw last night, I was really impressed. I love his kickboxing. It looks.
The
I was
only
impressed,
reason why
man.
the only reason why I wouldn't say Wonder Boy, because I think Wonder Boy could beat everybody in this division if Father Time wasn't so close to Wonder Boy. Because
I
Wonder
think
Boy's 40.
I think Leon Edward clinches and punches the shit out of Wonder Boy, in my opinion. But
Oh, really? Because he's so active in clinches, and Wonder Boy's so easy to get a hold of.
I think he does. That's just my take on it.
Well, speaking of interesting 170 matchups, I'm not going to lie. My stream my perfectly legal stream was crapping out at me during the Damian Maia Bilal Muhammad matchup.
Same.
So I know,
Being so legal, right?
yeah, for sure. Through its legality, it crapped out on me. So you guys are going to have at this one without me.
Yeah,
You
there's
know-
not much for me to talk about in this one. I didn't take copious notes. I just thought Bilal Muhammad was first to every punch, or first in every exchange. Damian Maia really couldn't get going.
Interesting enough.
Pardon?
Interesting enough, Damian Maia 1 for 21 on his takedown attempts.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like he couldn't even get a takedown on not even, but he could not get a takedown on Muhammad, who was just a little bit too quick, and just younger. Really, that's what it really stuck out to me. Like it just looked like a young guy facing, with all due respect, a little bit of an older guy, and just the young guy knew all the older guy's moves and was able to kind of stay safe for most of the fight and land a few good shots, like a few good straights. Is what I saw. Not really much to write about.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say one of the things I mentioned in my live stream too, because I think we can both agree this fight was not the most eventful fight. Borderline boring, you know. And one thing I always said is, you know, Damian Maia, if he doesn't get a takedown, even to the hardcores, is a boring fighter. Yet for whatever reason, no one ever gives him the blame for being boring. Right? Like they kind of overlook it and just go, it's a Damian Maia fight. What are you going to do? But everyone else gets the blame. Right? It's like, why didn't you attack Damian Maia? Well, this is how you have to fight him. You have to fight him like this. You have to avoid takedowns. You got to stay on the outside. You got to punch. You got to box with him. Make life difficult. Right? And Bilal Muhammad did that.
Yeah, Damian Maia. Bilal Muhammad, I didn't think he would be able to fight successfully in this way, so I'll eat my words. He won. I thought this would be a layup for Maia, but Dana White saying this will be Damian Maia's last fight in the UFC.
Well, you know.
I think this fight was probably not good for Damian Maia to go out on this note. I'm sure he would have liked to have won.
Mm-hmm.
But perhaps like the tail of this fight kind of shows like the good rationale behind why it might be time for Damian Maia, because these guys, like, they're not falling from the same tricks. Like nobody's gonna just like fall straight into his guard and start playing a jiu-jitsu match with him. Like most people are gonna switch it up. And yeah, as you said, it's just time. I think
It's also because he's 43 and
impressive that a 43-year-old is still a ranked contender and can still fight a long fight without really getting hurt against other ranked contenders. So at the very least, there's some solace in that. But his last run to the title was inspiring, and if indeed this is his last UFC fight, then number one, thank you for the great career, Damian Maia. You did jiu-jitsu an honor by fighting in MMA, and also he said that he's going to be releasing an instructional with all of his tactics after he retires. So make it the instructional, Damian.
I'm so excited. Oh, okay. Next fight.
You
guys ready to...
Oh my God, this was disgusting.
Yeah. Okay. And I feel like, first of all, I feel like Stefano did this to me in the gym. With the brief time we did grapple, where he twists my arm in a weird direction, and he's like, "Oh, that thing is broken," but it was not. And also,
David's got some flexible ass arms.
I thought that was the case with Jamal Hill. I thought it was generally like he was fine because he was just so flexible that it really wasn't hurting him. But
he kept fighting and kept trying to because he was fighting for his life because that rep is a piece of shit. Yeah. Like this is one of the few times, huh?
Steve Mazzagatti.
Steve Mazzagatti, you know what? That's an insult to Steve Mazzagatti. This is one of the few times.
This was Mario Yamasaki. My mistake, not Mazzagatti.
This is one of the few times I'm actually with Stefano, and a ref should be fired on the spot immediately. I never want to see this guy again. This was disgraceful. This was an abomination. And honestly, if not, I wouldn't be this mad if not for the fact he had a clear view at Jamal Hill's arm breaking in front of
flopping around like a piece of linguine.
The reason I bring this up
taps multiple times.
The reason I bring me and Stefano grappling is, from an outside perspective, you might think, even from a trained jiu-jitsu eye, you might think, okay, this guy has gone to the final position of this move. Either the guy's gonna get out of this, or it's done. Like he's gonna break his arm. And it might look like you're at that stage where the arm is broken, when in reality, people's, if you get what I'm trying to say, people's bodies are different
and whatever.
Exactly. So I could see, and even the way he twisted and was still fighting, it looked like he'd gotten out of it.
Here's my thing, though, David, is that Jamal Hill was tapping multiple times before it broke.
Definitely tapped.
And the ref saw it. He had a clear view.
Was that a tap? It looked like it could have. Was that a tap? It looked like it could have been a tap, but it wasn't.
It looked like a phantom tap. But I think it was a tap.
Either way, as a referee, it's your job. It's our job as boom. Get out of there, Bubba. It's our job as fighters to be tough and to fight until we can no longer fight. It's the referee and our corner's job to protect us. It's that simple. And Steve Mazzagatti, Mario Yamasaki failed miserably at that. Clearly something was wrong. His arm was flopping around like a windsock. And, not much to say. I think this was pretty clear cut that as a
never again. Who is this rep? I really want to know.
Mario Yamasaki, I told you.
No, seriously, I want to know who this guy is, this clown. Because
dude, why are you not believing me? It's freaking Mario Yamasaki.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously?
He came back?
He's lying to you. It was a bald-headed white dude.
Anyway, I'm not looking at
you guys don't take it on my word.
But what I would say is, I did want to say, how good is Paul Craig's jiu-jitsu, man?
Oh man, he's crazy.
I love the setup that he used for this. First of all, pulling guard. That is a Chad move if I've ever seen one. But I liked the setup in that he attacked the forearm kind of with it looked to me like he was grabbing for the forearm with almost that modified armbar where the elbow's facing downwards towards your chest and you use your own wrist to pry their elbow downwards. And then from that, he used that to swing his hips up. And it can be difficult on a suspecting opponent to get your hips all the way in position from an armbar, from square on from your opponent to aligned with their arm. But he baited Jamal Hill in by attacking that far arm and swinging all the way around to Jamal Hill's left. I thought that was a very crafty little setup there.
I think even more impressive was that he tried to originally use that far arm setup to go for an omoplata, and Jamal Hill scouted it. I wouldn't say amazingly well, but scouted it well enough to get out of it the first time. And then he did it again to swing around and get that arm. I think that was really impressive, just to show the level of like, okay, this didn't work. I'm now going to go to this, right? Like he had other tools in his pocket, right? You know, a lot of people think of Paul Craig as like the triangle guy, you know, but he can do other things, and he showed it here.
Yeah, I thought it was a good, once again, proving that he might have some of the best jiu-jitsu, and probably the best jiu-jitsu in the division. And deserves a will. Jamal Hill, I thought he probably should have gotten out or tried a little bit, let me not say harder, but after he escaped that first attempt, I think it was for an arm triangle, I'm not sure, he should have disengaged and kept it standing with Paul Craig, because I think that's where Paul Craig could perhaps improve a little bit more.
Stand up? Yeah, specifically the boxing. I mean, it's crazy that, you know, I've said it time and time again, there's no point in pulling guard unless you have a massive jiu-jitsu advantage over your opponent, because jiu-jitsu can take a little bit of time to get working, right? Mm-hmm. But
Craig clearly feels like he has that massive advantage, because
and he did, and he clearly did, yeah.
No, his guard is insane.
I did actually want to really quickly talk about the Brad Riddell versus Drew Dober fight.
I haven't seen it yet. Spoilers.
Oh, man. Okay, this was fight.
Okay, go on.
This was fight of the night for sure. It was actually
how Brad Riddell fights.
Crazy. First round, slow, looking like, you know, he can't land the jab, looking really pensive. Like looking like he's thinking about everything he's gonna do before he does it, and he's getting 2 shots before he can even like fire the neurons from his brains to like the rest of his extremities or whatever. Drew Dober looking light on his feet, lots of movement, like the exact opposite of Brad Riddell, really. But eventually, I don't know what happened in that second and third round, but Brad Riddell just grounds the fight to like a really slow pace, and was just able to like systematically just batter Drew Dober. I thought Brad Riddell's like leg kicks, I would have to think about it, but he has some of the fiercest leg kicks I've ever seen in that division, for sure. Like he was absolutely blasting them shits. Leg kicks, body kicks. His kicks were really good. And man, even though I would give round 1 to Drew Dober, round 2 was definitely Riddell. Round 3 was a little bit more even, but man, the inside leg kicks from Riddell made it pretty clear a Brad Riddell victory. And by the end, Brad Riddell was moving a little bit more, had a few more shots to the body, a little bit more head movement. So he looked like he was kind of getting over a little bit of ring rust, for one better term, but I was super impressed with that performance. I think any grappler in the division is going to give him a lot of problems, because Drew Dober was shooting in and taking him down. Although, you know, Brad Riddell did get his own takedown as well, but I do think that any decent grappler.
Drew Dober was 1 of 5 from the takedowns, where Brad Riddell was 5 of 11.
It was not the most high-level takedown fight. Both of these guys are strikers, so you know I wouldn't watch this as a wrestling how-to or how-to wrestle video. But in terms of actual, it was an exciting fight, and it was a real comeback victory, because in that first round, Drew Dober, exciting fighter, man. He's got some nice stuff, man. I have to go back and rewatch the fight to like give a real technical breakdown, but. Yeah, he like stylistically, I was really impressed with both guys, especially Drew Dober, because he was light on the foot. I wouldn't say karate style-ish, but yeah, it was interesting to watch. Michael, did you watch the fight? Right?
Of course, yeah, clearly. But yeah, no, I think I agree with you on a lot of that analysis. Brad Riddell definitely did not get out of the breaks well, but There's something about these city kickboxing guys. They should turn their names to City MMA because they know the game and
Yeah.
they've properly adjusted kickboxing for the game of MMA. And it's a lot of feints, it's a lot of calf kicks, and it's a lot of movement, except with Brad Riddell, who's
Doesn't
very
do movement.
stationary. But
Yeah,
they
but
make
you know
it work
what?
for him too.
Sorry, Michael. Just sorry to cut you off, but you just said something that reminded me of something in the fight. Feints. I feel like he wasn't feigning that much in the first round, but by the second and third round, like he was.
Yeah.
Man. Dober was biting hard on the feints.
He figured it out. Well, there's something to be said for when you, what's the word I'm looking for? When you don't do something in the first round, but you do something in the second round, there's probably more success because it's now a different look, you know?
Mm-hmm. And his feint was weird too, because, usually it's kind of like a half out there, but he would like full on lunge and like drop his level. And like, it was really effective. Like it really threw Dober off. And I feel like that paid a factor because Dober really couldn't tell like what shots were coming next and when the leg kick was coming and etc.
Yeah, Brad Riddell not the most fleet of foot for sure, but he does a lot of those city kickboxing staple things that will make him successful. I think for a lot of these striking heavy guys. I will say though, Drew Dober is. I don't think his stock lowered in this fight.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I really like some of the things he does. I know Islam Makhachev really shut him down in the fight before his last fight before this one, but he does a lot of interesting things that I'm a fan of. And he seems explosive, right? Like
yeah, no, he's super explosive. He's a stocky dude, but like. He's explosive, but he's also fluid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like light on his feet. Like he's got like that inside outside where he's like kind of bouncing, almost like a pendulum stance. So yeah, I liked it, man. Like I was really impressed with Drew Dober. I'll be watching his fights moving on.
Yeah, like I don't know what's next for him, to be honest. Just because I look at the top 15 and I'm like, I hate to do that, but it's like Drew Dober loses to everybody like, in my mind. But he does.
It's definitely a deep and dangerous division.
Yeah, but there's something about Drew Dober and the way he just moves. I like his movement. It's like he can explode, but he's bouncy. It's like it's weird to say it, but like it's almost like, just to use another sport here, but like, it's soccer players when they're just very like. Bouncy and they can like kind of like move on like a dime. Like I don't know how to explain it, but
he's agile. Yeah,
he's agile, but he's still powerful. Like and I think
he doesn't like throw looping hooks. Like it isn't like
they're tight. It's very tight. Excuse me there, but there's a lot of things that I think Drew Dober, if he can clean himself up a little bit on the ground and if he could, put it together, I think he can do well. How old is this guy?
I think he's in his 30s. So
that is too late for him.
But might be early 30s.
Yeah, I don't know, Stefano, Jeremy. Let me know. Are you guys kind of on the boat, or am
32.
I talking? Oh.
Honestly,
30.
I didn't see the fight. Like I said, I didn't see the prelims, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think for the most part, Dober might struggle with a lot of the wrestling heavy. Top 10 of the division, but I still think there's interesting fights to make. I mean, let me look up the 155 rankings here. Can we unrank Khabib for the love of God, please?
Oh, he's still ranked?
Oh, God. What is going on with Topology's 155 rankings? Is this from a different era? Like, it's 1 Khabib, 2 Tony, 3 Justin, 4 Dan Hooker. What is going on here? Have they not updated the rankings?
Let's use the UFC rankings here.
Jeez, Topology, what the hell?
Guys,
making me look bad.
They're usually really good too with their rankings. That's kind of a shame. Okay, so obviously champion is Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. I'm just gonna loss. Beneil Dariush is interesting. You guys think because Beneil Dariush, great jiu-jitsu guy, but not the best wrestler.
He'd be Drew Dover right now.
Yeah, I think we know Drew Dover.
Right now.
All right, Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is interesting. You think
That would be an interesting fight. Just
Yeah.
stylistically, it would actually be very
that's interesting.
See,
I
that's,
think-
that's,
I think-
that's the thing about McGregor is because of his name value, I think he gets held back for some interesting matchups in the division. I think after the Poirier fight, I stand by this. McGregor RDA.
Why not?
I
Actually,
don't want to. I mean, I don't want to see that, man. I don't know. Personally,
I don't want to see.
I
the
feel like
Poirier
McGregor
fight.
wins that one pretty clearly.
Well, I do want to see the Poirier fight. I lied.
Yeah, I love the Poirier fight. The Poirier fight's a good one because stylistically, it's a really good one.
I love it.
I just don't
think
want to
you
see it on
see
the
money
Opcats
train
and
keep
McGregor.
going.
But I do agree with Stefano, though. I do think because of his name value, like that kind of holds him back from really stylistically interesting fights, especially for what is a middle of the division fighter right now, right? So, yeah, I agree. Okay, we all looked gassed, so I just wanted to quickly mention one more fight. Our Canadian Nigerian brethren was fighting. Hakeem Dawodu fought Musvar Evloev. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. And got ragdolled for 2 rounds, like absolutely ragdolled. But still, he rallied and won the 3rd round. So he's got to take some solace in that. But I thought in this one, this Russian dude's grappling, he's undefeated. I think it was just a step above for Dawodu. So tough matchup.
Which was weird because I really liked how he looked against Tukugov. And he did this weird kind of like put the hand on the outside, raise his head level kind of thing. So going into this match,
this guy was better than
Tukugov. No, this was a different level of grappling. But going into this one, I was like, maybe he could stave off the grappling, and if he does, then watch out. But no.
It was not good. And the problem was Evloev was equally as fluid on the feet as he was grappling as well. So he has a bouncy style as well, a little bit more boxing heavy. But he looked really good. Like he's going to be a problem for a lot of guys in this division, like a lot of guys. Because Hakeem, it took him a long time to figure out what to do, like how to even stop the takedown, how to not get into that range. And if anything, I think Evloev probably just wanted to play it a little bit safe in that 3rd round, which is why he lost the round. But man, good job for Hakeem because Evloev had Hakeem's back towards I think it was in the 1st round. Like he had pretty much like his arm sunk in. He was gonna choke him out, but Dawodu did a good job in coming back in defending the submission, standing up, and eventually coming back to win a round. So shout out to him. Hopefully one day he can actually compete with like the top of the division. I was mad that he's ranked but didn't even get on the main card. That's what I was saying before in the preview fight in the preview video. But shout out to Hakeem Dawodu next time, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we have any other segments that I can transition to?
No, I believe we'll have a bad take segment next week.
I like doing the transition. So, but we can.
No one else does, Mike. Anyways. Okay.
Sadly.
Anything else?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Guys, like the podcast, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be hitting you with a preview sometime this week. Stay tuned for other content on the channel, like interviews. Michael put out some segments. Jeremy's got his boxing segment that's going to be coming out sometime this week. Yes, that's about it. Mike, to play us out, what does that mean?
Well, it means I had some funny and I can't remember.
We'll do it live, maybe?
We'll do it live. All right, in this crazy mixed up world where, a fight happened yesterday. Lots of fights happened yesterday. Just remember, you have life, you have family, and this podcast I will always be talking about a fight that happened the other day. Stay easy, everybody.